Hello friends, I'm Magic Cake and today I'll be showing you... these old things. I'm a fairy now, no big deal or anything. I just woke up this morning with fairy wings and inside a fairy house. So today I'll be showing you how to make your own fairy house. The things you will need will be one wooden birdhouse, eggshells. I used brown shells this time, but white shells are just as good. Alcohol inks, tacky glue, sandpaper, an oval-shaped wood piece, black acrylic paint, moss, this kind of moss, like the ones in craft stores and stuff, a paintbrush that you don't care about, distress inks. I'm using the colors Vintage Photo and Tea Dye, a small sponge, triple thick glaze, and wire cutters or something that can grip well. One quick thing about the eggshells. In order to prepare them for craft making, follow these simple steps. Step 1. Have some delicious scrambled eggs, and then save the shells by submerging them in a bowl full of water. Step 2. After I say around 3 hours or so, remove the eggshells and let them dry on a paper towel for another hour. Step 3. When you peel that gross little film off the shells, you will be left with eggshells clean and ready to go. Okay, now back to the tutorial. Step 1. Prepare your house for awesomeness. Take your wire cutter or something that can grip and remove that peg sticking from your soon-to-be fairy house, because fairies aren't birds. Silly. Next, break your oval-shaped piece of wood to make a door-shaped piece of wood, because fairies use doors. Silly. Step 2. Eggshells everywhere. No, seriously, work on a piece of paper or something. You don't want to be literally walking on eggshells. Take a paintbrush and spread a layer of tacky glue on your door-shaped wood piece. Then break your eggshells into workable pieces and push them on top of your door, fully covering them the surface as best you can. It's kind of like a puzzle, and I like puzzles. Next, do the exact same thing with the entire roof of your house. It'll look cool, I promise. If you leave some gaps or some pieces go over the edges, that's okay, we'll fix that later. While you're waiting for your tacky glue to dry, it's time to decorate the rest of your fairy house to look all magical and whatnot. Step 3. Decoration. First, take your sponge and distress inks and apply the ink to the house via sponge to make the house look all old. Next, paint on where you want your moss to go with tacky glue. I like to cover up the places I missed with the inks. Then take your moss, not that moss, and place it on top of the tacky glue. Remember to not put your moss on where you want to put your door. Chances are after you're done with decoration, the tacky glue still won't be completely dry. So be patient and wait a bit longer. Trust me, it'll make your next step much easier. So after it's dry, it's time to fix up those edges and add some color to your house. Step 4. The fun part! Break off the overflowing eggshell pieces as close to the edges as possible. If the whole piece starts peeling off, you haven't let the glue dry long enough, and I'm very disappointed in you to not have waited after particularly told you. Then use the sandpaper to sand the edges you may have missed or were too small to take off with your fingers. Next, glue your door down, and since it kind of covered up the hole for me, I just kind of filled in the gaps with more moss. Now, okay, now I kind of liked before. Now it's the fun part. Take your alcohol inks, I recommend starting with a smaller selection of colors, and drip it all over your eggshells, covering them up in a beautiful Technicolor array of colors. Be careful not to go overboard though and end up with a yucky brown color. That wouldn't be magical at all. Now wait for the ink to dry while at the same time working on maintaining a perfect town ready in Animal Crossing, then the last step is upon us. Step 5. Finishing it! Take some acrylic paint and paint on a handle for your door. Otherwise, your fairy couldn't get inside and ruin the whole purpose of a door. And also, as with all works of art, put your signature on the bottom of your house. I just put my logo. Let that dry, and take some good old triple thick and cover up the eggshells to make them all shiny. Let that dry, and you're done with your magical fairy house of awesomeness. Pretty! Phew, That was a mouthful. Alright friends, that about covers it. Thanks for watching and bearing with me in my inequality photos, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Okay then, I'll see you next time friends. Bye! Aww. This video is dedicated to Lisa from Beyond the Bracelets. Thank you for giving me the skills that made this craft possible and inspiring me to share it with the world.